Did you know that the type of paper you use can dramatically change your drawing experience? This is one of the most frequently asked questions I have on this channel. What kind of paper did you use for this kind of drawing? Well, today we're going to dive in. Now, I've experimented with lots of different kinds of papers, but naturally I have my favorites. So today I'm going to be covering my 5 top favorites that every artist should try. Whether you're sketching, or working with a very specific medium, or you're working on a grand masterpiece, we'll be covering everything from the texture to the durability and the cost. So let's dive in. The papers that I'm covering in this video are all the same that I use for a variety of my drawing courses on my Patreon site. So I'm going to start with the simplest and the least expensive papers and then move my way through the more complex and costly ones. So when I'm starting a lot of drawings or paintings or any image that I'm developing, and it doesn't matter what surface it's being done on, whether it's on a simple paper, a very complex or heavy paper, or even a painting panel, I usually start with some kind of a construct. What I like to work on is a very simple, inexpensive sketch paper, and all I'm looking for is something that's white and fairly thin, not too thin, but not too heavy either. And so basically these are the sketches. This is what they're like. You can see they're just simple pencil. They're quick and dirty, okay? They're not meant to be precious. You can see they got lines on them, they're dirty, they're smudgy. This is where I'm working all the details out of the piece, and I'm just trying to figure out what it is that I want to work on. And that's what it's meant for. It's a preliminary drawing. And that's what its purpose is, to work things out. And what paper I like to use is, this happens to be Strathmore. It's a sketch paper pad. It doesn't have to be Strathmore. I generally look for what's on sale. That's basically what it is. But what I do look for is a nice, smooth, white piece of paper. And the key factor is the weight of the paper. This one here is 50 pounds. You do not want it any more than about 70 pounds. Even 80 pounds starts to get really difficult to work with, because the factor that you're looking for in this is that it's relatively thin, and you can see I can see through this. I have to be able to transfer this over, and quite often I need to trace it. And if you're putting this on relatively thick paper, then by the time you get through the thickness of that paper, the thickness of your good paper, you can't see what you're doing. And you're forced to have to put some kind of pencil or chalk on the back and then trace over it. And as opposed to just slipping this under your paper and then using it to just trace over because you can see through it. Also, it's going to be less expensive as well. The weight of the paper is going to dictate the cost of the paper. So I always get these kinds of pads here. I get a nice big 18 by 24 inch pad, and this gives me the flexibility to do any size that I want. If I want smaller pieces, I can just rip a sheet out, and then I can just fold it up and tear it up into smaller sheets. I can make it this big, a quarter, I can make it that big, or a half sheet, or whatever it is I need. And if I need something really big, then I can take full sheets out and just tape them together and have these massive big things. And so that to me has worked out to be the most convenient, economical, and just all around easiest to work from. The next step up is a simple drawing paper, and it's a little heavier. This paper is 80 pounds. This one here happens to be a Strathmore pad. It's the same thing. It's a beautiful, smooth, fine-tooth, lovely paper, but it's a lot thicker. This one here is by Canson. It's fundamentally the same thing. So it doesn't really matter who the manufacturer is. What you're looking for is a white drawing paper, fine texture, and about 80 pounds. And the kinds of drawings that you can do on there, here's an example from a course that I did, and this allows you to have a beautiful, fine surface. It allows you to build up your graphite or whatever it is that you're working on. So I have worked these things out for the way that I work, but it doesn't mean that that's the only way that you could do it. I'm sure you could do colored pencil on this, watercolor pencil, and a few other things on that, maybe even regular pastel, or just experiment with the type of things that you would use. And I use the larger pads as well for the same reason. I can just take a full sheet, I can break it up, I can do whatever I want, and I probably have a smaller sheet because it was probably on sale. That would be my guess. So what you're looking for is the weight and the texture. That's the main thing. This happens to be the Strathmore 400 series, and they're very, very good. All right, so this next paper is a little more expensive and it's a little more complex. But it's a beautiful paper, and it's a very popular paper as well. It's called My Tens by Canson. And you can see it comes in a myriad of different colors. Like you can get all kinds of colors with it. So you can go white, cream, beige, pale gray, dark gray, brown, blue, you name it. Okay, so it's got all kinds of different colors that you can work on it. And it's really great for working, and depending on what you're working on, obviously pencil or charcoal would work really well. It's a great mixed media paper. So pencil and charcoal work really well, obviously on the lighter or the mid-tones. And then for the darker, it's really great for charcoal or pastel. These are really great mediums to be using on this. It probably worked very well with pencil crayon as well. I use watercolor pencil crayons, but for other pencil crayons, I'm sure it would work just fine. So this is a very versatile paper to use. This is a 98-pound paper, so it's a little heavier. It's also very dense and opaque. You can see, you can't really see through it at all. You can see underneath, I've got all these different colors. You can't see anything. So you have other issues with this paper in terms of transferring. You either work directly on this paper, or in the case of like a drawing like this, which you can see, this works really well for, this is my construct for this piece. And you can see that on the back of it, I've had to put some charcoal and transfer it over and trace it that way because I can't see through it. But this is the kind of work that you can do on there that's really beautiful for that. So the chalk and charcoal or a little bit of pastel or all this kind of stuff, it's just perfect for that. So this was a master copy I did with one of my classes, and this was showing, teaching them about values and moving from the range of values from black to white, and this was a really great exercise for them. It was the perfect paper for that. It's not terribly expensive. It's a few dollars a sheet, and it's readily available probably at just about any art store that you can go to. So this is a really great paper to work with as well. The next paper is this beautiful paper. It's a little more expensive, but it's so versatile, and you can use it with so many different mediums, and it's called Stonehenge, and it's by Legion. And it's a wonderful paper. And you notice most of these papers come in either 18 by 24 if they're on the pads, or they're 22 by 30. These are kind of standard sizes. Some papers you can get in rolls and all that sort of thing, but I generally just get the sheets and then I just break them down. You can see I've cut them down into half or into smaller quarter sheets or whatever it is the size I need in order to do my piece. And this paper I've used for a number of different mediums. This right here is pencil. And you can see by the texture of it, it's beautiful and smooth, and it takes the range of values, and it's really great for doing pencil work. And here's another one. This is pencil and a little bit of carbon pencil, and you can see how fine the surface is, and it's really great for doing very delicate and very fine work. And it comes in a variety of colors. They're usually pretty pale, so I've got, I think, off-white, they've got a cream, and then there's a pearl gray, and there may be something else, I've never used it. But it's all pretty subdued colors, and it gives you this variety to work on. So you can see you can get this really nice finish on there, and charcoal will stick to it. This is one of the big things. Sometimes charcoal will just fall off. It's got enough of a tooth, and it almost feels like fabric or felt or something. It's very, very soft, so you can get this beautiful smooth surface out of it, but it takes the charcoal extremely well. And here's an example of that. This is a full sheet drawing, and it was beautiful. I loved working with it. And this is one of the ones that people ask me about on my videos a lot. What paper do you use to get this particular effect? And so it's the Stonehenge by Legion, and this is on a pearl gray. The good news about this paper is that it's extremely versatile, and it's quite affordable as well. As a really high quality paper, it's pretty affordable. And the good news about it is that you can stain it. Like, you can prep this paper and use different colors. So what I've done here is these are just inks that I've used. I've used some Winsor Newton inks, and you have to be a little careful. You can't oversaturate this paper, but you can prep it and give it any kind of a background. There I tried some even with gold leaf on it, and it took it extremely well. So there's another series of inks on there as well. So you can make it very customizable. And I stretch it over a wooden panel, and I have a video that I can post about that as well. And you can prep this paper, and then you've got this gorgeous paper with a custom background, and then you can just use that, and it's the same thing. Charcoal, chalk, pastel, pencil, beautiful, absolutely beautiful paper. The last kind of paper I'm going to talk about here is my favorite paper. It's Arches 300-pound hot pressed watercolor paper. It's a beautiful paper, but it is expensive. It's probably about 4 times the cost of the other papers that I've been showing you. So it tends to get a little precious, but it is very versatile, and it actually is my favorite paper to work on. And so what I'm going to show you here about this, and because it's a watercolor paper, it can be stained and turned into any kind of a surface that you want. That's the beauty of it. Also, it's an extremely heavy and durable paper. You can see that it's like cardboard. And the 300-pound makes it extremely heavy paper to work on. And the important thing to remember is that it's hot pressed watercolor paper, 300-pound, and the hot press means that it's very, very smooth. Watercolor papers come in cold pressed and hot pressed. The cold pressed is a much rougher surface. Some people really like that. They like the texture, but the hot press means just like that. It's like an iron. It's been pressed by a hot surface and it's been smoothed out, and it has a beautiful, flawless, smooth surface, which is really great for drawing on. And that's what I really like, because I tend to lean towards detail, and that's my preference. What I like about this paper is the fact that it's so versatile, insofar as that you can customize it to whatever it is that you want. So you can see here, I've got a whole bunch of these things. I just finished doing a whole bunch of pieces for setting up a bunch of the drawings I'm going to do. And you can see here, so this is my reference image for a master copy, and there's my drawing, like this. So I've made a background that I really, really like, and then I've been able to work on it with all kinds of mixed media. I'm working on it with pencil, crayon, and chalk, and charcoal, and carbon pencil. It works fantastic for a whole series of mediums. Great for pastels, watercolor pencils. You can even work gouache, you can work graphite, you name it. It just works fantastic. I do a lot of charcoal drawings on it. You know, I can do anything on those things. And so I've just been able to make that custom background. And here you can see I've got a series of them that I've been able to customize to work with my reference material. So it doesn't matter. It's the same piece of paper. These were all done on the same paper, and I could make it exactly to what I want. And then here are some other ones. These are ones, and sometimes I'm working it out for a much larger piece. It can be like this. You can see how brilliant it can become, like super intense for whatever it is that you're trying to do. A little more muted, very, very soft, understated, like that. And this was a piece that I transferred over and was doing some testers on. So this was very bright red chalk that I used to transfer over, but this is charcoal and a series of pastels that I was just testing on. So you can see the vibrance that you can achieve with this by working with the different mediums, and then you can have something very, very subtle and understated like this one. And here are other examples. So here's a mixed media piece, which I've been showing on my channel. So this was mixed media so I did the whole background of this, and then I was able to work on it with pencil crayon and chalk, charcoal, and graphite. So that was all done on this one. Here's another piece that was done, very, very muted, very soft. So here's another piece I did, mixed media, the same time, charcoal, but this time I even put silver leaf on it. And the reason that I like it so much as well is because it's so hardy. You can be erasing on it, you can be reworking it, you can be doing a lot of things, and the paper will not break down. It's so tough. So there we go. Beautiful 300-pound Arches watercolor paper, hot pressed, my favorite paper. So I hope this has given you a good overview of the papers that I like to use, and it answers a lot of questions that people have been asking. Well, there you have it, my top 5 picks for the best drawing papers to elevate your artwork. So whether you're into detailed line work, bold expressive sketches, or mixed media, there's something here for everybody. So which one are you interested in trying next? So if you'd like to develop the skills to create beautiful and realistic portraits, you can. Simply go to the Patreon link at the end of this video and find out how. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and I'd love to hear what your favorites are as well. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more transformational art videos coming your way. Thanks very much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and happy drawing!